Hi everyone, I am Carrie. I'm going to be your tour guide. Before we leave, does everyone have 3D glasses? Everyone has 3D glasses? If you don't have 3D glasses, wave your hand around in the air like you need a pair. We're good. Wait, do we need a pair of 3D glasses in the back? Well, it's too late because Luke said, we're going. He said, we're getting out of here. Thanks, Livia. So, I am your guide for the day. You've met me. To my right hand side is Luke. Everyone clap at Luke for driving us around our 400 acres of land today. There's one more person I want to introduce you to for this tour. It is Jimmy Fallon. Wow, what an adventure that was. And now my cue button.
Oh, hey there. You made it. Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide.
Carrie!
And the greatest driver.
Luke!
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Carrie!
owes me $5.
What?
I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
All right. That's right. We do have some safety rules to go over. First, if you need any sort of guest assistance at all, if you drop something of value inside of the tram, if you have a medical emergency, sound or video issues, meaning you can't hear me or see me, like before, go ahead and pull that red E-cord that runs along the center of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it is safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please do stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle. Remember to pull that red E-cord above your head if you need any sort of guest assistance. If you drop your phone, can't wait to use the restroom, please, I beg of you, do not jump over the side of the tram. It's very dangerous. I know it sounds like a silly thing for me to ask, but you can imagine how many people have done it if I have to ask you not to. So please, please, please don't jump over the side of the tram. If you need any help, pull cord, I'll help you out, okay? There are going to be sudden tram movements, fire effects, water effects, and visual effects as a part of this tour. The water effects might get you wet. You have been warned. Please refrain from using selfie sticks, and please refrain from smoking. That does include vaping while on the tour. All right, boring rules out of the way. Let's start this thing. So we're heading down the Universal movie timeline to get to the world's oldest, largest, and busiest working film and television lot. If you're looking on either side of the tram, you're probably noticing two totally different things. If you're looking on the left, we have a huge construction project. This is going to be our newest ride, opening in the spring, or well, we don't know if it's spring, but 2026, hopefully spring of 2026. It's Fast and Furious Drift, and it is a massive roller coaster, as you can see. If you're looking on the right-hand side of the tram, you're probably noticing these movie posters that line the timeline. They date all the way back to some of the earliest movies we ever made, like Damien and Pythias in the early 1900s, and they date through some of the newer movies that we've made, like Oppenheimer, which starred Cillian Murphy back in 2023 and won a ton of awards. And these are really just a handful of examples of the thousands of movies we've been able to make over the years here at Universal. Now, part of the reason we've been able to make so many movies is because we've been open for over 100 years. In fact, it's been about 110. We opened our doors March 15th of 1915, and since then, we've become our very own city dedicated to motion picture making. We have everything a normal city would have. We have a fire station, a police station, a gym, a laundromat, a city name, a city zip code. We even have our own Starbucks. Everyone knows you're not a real city unless you have your own Starbucks, but we have like 5, not to brag. But what sets us apart from all of those other cities is the fact that we're dedicated to motion picture making. Everything in filmmaking can happen right here on our completely self-sufficient lot. Now, we've officially made it to the lot. The way you're going to know is you're going to start seeing these big kind of warehouse-looking buildings like that one on your left-hand side there. Those are what we call sound stages. We film inside of those sound stages. So that soundstage 12 there is one of the oldest and largest sound stages we have here on the lot. You can see some of the productions that filmed in there up on your screens. The original Dracula, the original Mummy, and Frankenstein all filmed inside of that soundstage. And all of those movies, those date back to the early 1930s, right? So that just goes to show you how old some of these sound stages are, and sets that are still in use to this day that you'll get to see as we traverse the front and back lot. So our studio lot's divided into 2 halves. We have a front and a back lot. The front lot is where a lot of interior filming happens inside of these sound stages, and a lot of like the business side of the industry happens out here. The back lot is where we go when we want to film exterior scenes on a really large scale, and you'll get to see that in a couple of minutes. So these sound stages here on the left-hand side, specifically 7 and 8, as well as 14, which is coming up on the your left after we make this turn. All 3 of those sound stages for about 6 years were used for a television show called Superstore, which starred Ben Feldman, America Ferrera, Colton Dunn, Lauren Ash, Mark McKinney, Nico Santos. It was an amazing cast of comedians, such a good show. And they filmed, like I said, filmed here for about 6 years, and a couple of years ago they retired the show. More recently, a television show just finished filming its 4th and final season in those same sound stages. It's called Bel Air. It stars Jabari Banks, Cassandra Freeman, and Ali Charlatan. and it is a Peacock television show. So a lot of the major networks, they have their own streaming services nowadays. Peacock is NBC Universal. So if you want to watch any of our television shows or movies, and you can't necessarily see them when they're on air, you can watch them on Peacock at your leisure streaming. So Soundstage 14 is another one of our larger and older sound stages. Not quite as old as Soundstage 12, but old enough to have been used in a little movie you may have heard of, Jurassic Park, directed by Steven Spielberg. It was also used for 7 seasons of The Mindy Project, which starred and was created by Mindy Kaling. If you've ever seen the American version of The Office, Mindy Kaling played Kelly Kapoor in the show, and she was also a writer on the show. It was also used more recently for a television show called Hacks. Hacks is a Max television show, formerly known as HBO Max, stars Hannah Einbinder and Jean Smart. They've won a ton of awards. So they filmed a couple of their seasons inside of Soundstage 14, and they recently moved to Soundstage 17, which we're just passing here on the right-hand side. Some other television shows that filmed in these sound stages right here, 16 through 19, are Loot, which stars Maya Rudolph, 3 seasons of that. Filmed out here in these sound stages. Desperate Housewives and Terry Hatcher and Eva Longoria filmed out here years ago. A new television show called 5 Star Weekend, which stars Jennifer Gardner, based on a novel, was filming here very recently. And my personal favorite that I'm very excited about that just released in September, filmed inside of Soundstage 19, that television show is called The Paper. It's a very loose spin-off of the American version of The Office, which stars Steve Carell, Mindy Kaling, Jenna Fisher, John Krasinski, Rainn Wilson. This one stars Domhnall Gleeson, and it is a wonderful show. I binged the whole first season in about 2 days, so take a look at that.
We sell products made out of paper, toilet tissue, and local newspapers. That is in order of quality.
My name is Ned Sampson. I am your new editor-in-chief.
Have you read this paper?
Uh-huh. It sucks. But we are going to make it better. I hope it's not too disruptive to have me shake everything up.
Don't be so sophisticated.
It's a wonderful television show. And that guy, that's Oscar Nunez. He's actually the only character from The Office that shows up in this spin-off of The Office, and there's like all these bits about it. It's a wonderful television show, you guys. Definitely check it out on Peacock. We're passing some bungalows here on the left-hand side. These used to be dressing rooms for some of the biggest stars in Hollywood back in the golden age of film. That would have been like the 30s, 40s, and 50s when like Rock Hudson, Doris Day, Lucille Ball were making movies and television shows for us. Nowadays we have what we call star wagons, which are dressing rooms on wheels. You'll see some of them when we pass the Metropolitan sets. So we've repurposed those bungalows to be production offices for some of the biggest directors, writers, producers, and actors in Los Angeles. It's pretty convenient for them when they're filming on the lot because their offices are right there. And that's where I was saying like the business side of filming happens. So like reading and writing scripts, auditioning and casting your actors, having your production meetings, which is like kind of the planning phase of filmmaking, talking about where you're going to film, when you're going to film, how you're going to film, is what we call pre-production. A lot of that happens in those bungalows. So we're kind of straddling the imaginary line between our front lot and our back lot right now. So I mentioned what happens on our front lot, interior filming, business side. Back lot is where we go for those exterior scenes, right? In these exterior sets that we have. So you can see our Metropolitan sets just here on the left-hand side. That's a good example of us having to film really big exterior scenes on a large scale right here on the back lot. Now, we have a production that is setting up to film in there that I'm not allowed to talk about because we have a non-disclosure agreement, or an NDA for short, meaning if I talk about what it is, I get fired, and I don't want to get fired. So you can just look at it and see that it looks like it's pretty cool, right? And that's really all I can say. So since we can't take you into the concrete jungle today, we're instead going to take you into a digital jungle known as Skull Island.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up an adventure. Kong literally does it. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island. We really put a lot of thought into the character and personality of Kong, and he's so much more than a monster. In fact, he's not a monster. You know, he is an incredibly majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature. He's old, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart. The most important feature with Kong are his eyes. Kong's eyes are wonderfully expressive. They're full of emotion. His eyes are like a window into his personality and his heart. He's had an enormous number of encounters with his foes, the T-Rexes and the various dinosaurs on Skull Island, so he's been beaten up, scarred, chewed up, spat out by these dinosaurs at various times, and he wears the scars of a lot of ancient battles.
All right, everyone, we're about to head into Skull Island. It's a little dangerous in there, so please do me a couple of favors while we're there. Stay seated, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle, and hold the red cord over your head if you have any sort of emergency. Pretty cool stuff, huh? Did you guys get spit on by the dinosaurs? Yeah, you did? You're welcome. Not everyone can say they've been spit on by a dinosaur. That's kind of a big deal. You know, from Universal to you, Merry Christmas. So the screens that you were just looking at, those were some of the largest 3D screens in the entire world. The magic that was projected onto those screens was made by Peter Jackson and his team at Weta Effects, formerly known as Weta Digital. Weta Effects is a New Zealand-based special effects company. They've worked on movies like the Avatar movies, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, of course King Kong, the newest Suicide Squad movie. Basically, any movie that has a lot of computer-generated imagery and really well done, you're looking at their work. Isn't that right, King Kong? That's right, he agrees. So as we go back past those metropolitan sets, you can kind of take a look at some of the decoration that they're doing for the movie or television show. I think it's a television show that they're doing that I'm not allowed to talk about. Again, I can only say something's filming here and you'll see it at some point. But I mentioned that we have Star Wagons, dressing rooms on wheels. You can see that those trailers there on the left-hand side, those are actually the Star Wagons for a television show called St. Denis Medical that films here on the lot. There were some sound stages right next to the Metropolitan sets. That was sound stages 25 and 26. That is where the interiors of St. Denis Medical film. So the inside of the hospital they film inside of the sound stages there. Then when they want to portray being outside of the hospital, they come to these metropolitan sets. So anytime we want to portray being in a major metropolitan area, New York, DC, Chicago, LA, London, Mumbai, Paris, really anywhere in the world, we'll come here to these metropolitan sets. But it's only for exterior scenes. We don't move the camera equipment, sound equipment, lighting equipment into any of these buildings because they're what we call facades, just the fronts and the sides of buildings. A lot of the time in filmmaking, we'll only build what the camera's gonna see. We let your imagination do the rest of the work for us. These are some cool cars here on the left-hand side. I'm assuming that half of these are picture cars. So anytime an automobile is on screen, whether it's used or not, it becomes what is known as a picture car. And those looked a little specific and a little like older, maybe in a certain era. So my guess is that those are picture cars. Then the other two on the end looked a little newer. So I'm assuming those are someone's personal cars there. Now if you're looking to your left-hand side, you're seeing sound stages 30 and 31. You can see a little red patch there with a V on the side. That's for The Voice. So The Voice is filmed here for many, many, many years. They actually used to film inside of Soundstage 12. Recently they moved into Sound Stages 30 and 31, and we just got word that Snoop Dogg is going to be returning as one of our celebrity guest judges for this next season.
Hey there, Studio Tour. I'm Snoop Dogg from The Voice. We tape our show right here in stage 30 and 31 in the heart of the Universal Backlot. These state-of-the-art sound stages allow us to bring every round of our show to life, from the blind auditions to the live finale, and everything in between.
Make some noise!
We know what America wants.
Reba sucks, baby!
Go now. You see the underwear I'm wearing.
So you may have noticed that Reba McEntire was also one of the celebrity guest judges in that clip that you just saw. She actually films another television show called Happy's Place, which she stars in just a couple of sound stages over. So inside of Soundstage 33, they film Happy's Place, and they're currently in their second season of filming. So I'm going to bring it back to the experience that we just had, right? King Kong 360 3D. So King Kong is one of our classic movie monsters. And Universal is kind of known for their monster movies, right? A lot of our monster movies actually filmed their exterior scenes right here in these sets that we're driving into. These are what we call our European sets, or Little Europe. And they are very, very old. They've been around since like the 20s, the 1920s. So almost 100 years old, probably, these sets are. If not already at 100 years old, they're very, very close. Movies like Dracula, Frankenstein, The Bride of Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, The Wolf Man, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Phantom of the Opera. They filmed scenes right out here in these sets. Now, it wasn't always scary, it wasn't always these monster movies that filmed out here. In later years, movies like Pirates of the Caribbean filmed out here. We actually turned this into Tortuga in Pirates of the Caribbean. This was Paris, France, in a Muppet movie with Miss Piggy, Kermit, Jason Segel, and Amy Adams. Jarhead filmed here with Jeremy Renner. This was also The Good Place with Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. This whole area was turned into the exteriors for The Good Place. If I have a chance, I'll play you a little bit from that television show if I have time. But first, on the right-hand side here, this kind of alcove area, it's what we call the Court of Miracles. That's the most historic bit of the European sets, because that's where Dr. Frankenstein's monster made his movie debut back in the early 1930s. If you know anything about monster movies, you might already know Dr. Frankenstein's monster was one of the first monsters to ever appear on film, alongside Nosferatu and Hunchback of Notre Dame. So Nosferatu and Hunchback, they came out in like 1923 or 22, something like in the early 20s, and Frankenstein came out in 1930. So it was almost about 10 years later. But apparently Frankenstein was so scary back then in the 1930s that people were fainting in the aisles of the movie houses when they saw the monster appear on screen, which is kind of a silly thing, right? Because you look at Frankenstein now and you're like, that's a mask a kid would wear for Halloween. But you gotta keep in mind, this was the first time they had seen some of these monsters ever on film. Film had only been around for 10, 15, max 20 years at this point, right? So now it's been 100 years and we're a little more numb to what you know, all these horror films and stuff, because we have Saw and these slasher movies and all of that, which are gross if you ask me. So I I did talk about how The Good Place filmed their exteriors in the European sets. Here's a little bit from the production and Ted Danson.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I've never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Okay, well, maybe it's not all that bad.
Hi there. How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
No, The Bad Place does not sound awesome, but The Good Place is, I can guarantee that. I know, because I've watched all 4 seasons twice through, and you can too. That's actually on Netflix. I think they sold that show before we had Peacock, our streaming service, so just to confuse you, you know, I told you to watch everything on Peacock, but some of it's on Netflix. But it's a wonderful television show. It was actually created by Michael Schur. If you're a fan of the American version of The Office, like me, you might know who Michael Schur is. He is the showrunner of a lot of wonderful television shows that are on, including The Office. And if you've ever watched The Office, and if you've ever seen any episodes where Dwight's cousin Mose shows up, so Dwight lives on a beet farm with his cousin Mose, that's actually Michael Schur. He's playing the character of Mose, which is really fun. Fun little Easter egg, as it were. So we're going to head into a soundstage now. We get to pass a lot of sound stages here on the lot, but we don't get to go into any of them other than this one here, and it's really exciting to be able to show you this one because you can see what it looks like when there's a set built inside of a soundstage, and it's ready for when the director calls action, right? So this is what we call a permanent set. It's a bit of a special set. So normally we don't have permanent sets. Normally we have sound stages that are empty. A production will come in, they will rent an empty soundstage, they will build the set that they need to build, film what they need to film, and then whoa! Don't worry about that, that's probably some California tremor, we get these all the time. And then when they're done filming what they need to film, they'll break down, okay, alright, you know what, my character, earthquake, do me a favor, stay seated, keep your arms length inside the vehicle, pull the right corner, read if you have any sort of emergency, others maybe you have a turn, make an arrow, say something really good, just don't panic, okay? Oh my gosh. Is everyone okay? Oh my goodness. I fell out of my seat. Oh. Whew. Some of us are having a good time and other of us are facing our biggest fears. It's fine, you guys. It's totally fine. Just kidding. That was Earthquake, the big one. That was a simulated earthquake. Is this screen working better now? Yeah, all right, perfect. So, no, it's not. All right, well, we have that screen. Let me know if they both go out. So, that is a real soundstage. It can be used by real productions if they would like. In fact, it was used by one, there's a television show called Bones that was on many years ago starring David Boreanaz and Emily DeJeanette. They actually used the soundstage and those practical effects for an episode of their show, which is pretty cool. Now, I don't know about you, but anytime I go through a traumatic event, whether it's real or pretend, I immediately have to wash the trauma off my body, take a bath or a shower. We don't have those out here, but we do have a beach. So I figured we could go to Amity Island, maybe park the tram up on the pier, go for a little dip in the water. You know, if you're scared of swimming or scared of sharks, then I wouldn't get in the water if I were you. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna get in the water either. That shark fin looks pretty large. Oh, but you see that guy in the water? That's George. He's friends with every creature on this earth. So if he can't tame that shark, no one can. Oh, look, you guys, they're playing together. Isn't that sweet? Blowing bubbles. Best friends. Screams of joy. That's what oh. Kids, look away. Don't look at that, kids. That's not for you. Yeah, Luke, the radio's saying clear the area, so if we could clear the area, that would be very cool. No, Luke, it said clear the area. Luke. You guys, Luke's not listening to me. Alright. I understand that there's a lot going on, you guys, but keep an eye out for that shark. You never know where he's gonna pop up next. I think I saw him near that yellow barrel in the middle of the lake. Yeah, I think he's over there. Found him.
The Jaws ride was almost the inevitable result of the size of the box office when Jaws first opened in June of 1975. And that was really the first time I ever got involved in the creation of a ride. It was a great honor to be invited into a creative circle of tremendous designers at Universal that were trying to figure out how to replicate what the movie had done to audiences in a real way by building a physical shark that would come out of the water and terrify tourists as they were sitting in the trash. And the most amazing thing about the Jaws ride is it is exactly as it was.
So Steven Spielberg was just talking about the mechanical sharks that they created. One for the movies, they actually had 3 mechanical sharks for that, and then the other one for this experience that you just had, right? So those mechanical sharks are what we refer to as practical effects, meaning they're real tangible things that are actually there during filming that you can touch and feel and use while you're filming, as opposed to visual effects, which are added in post-production using computer-generated imagery and green screen technology, things that are not there during filming that are added after the fact. So right now, we're giving you a demonstration of how we make a rainstorm for film here in Old Mexico using practical effects. So we have some thunder and lightning going. Those are just speakers and strobe lights creating the ambiance of the scene. And then the rain is being made by using an overhead sprinkler system. So normally these sprinklers would hang from like a department store ceiling. They throw water down towards a fire, right? What we do is we turn the sprinkler heads upside down, put them on top of poles so they shoot water up into the air rather than down, and then the water falls down back to the earth in this kind of natural appearance that you see here of rain. This is a super simple effect. If we have any future filmmakers on board, you guys could easily try this effect at home. Maybe just do it outside so your parents don't get mad, right? Oh my gosh, because look what could happen to your mom's living room if you experiment too hard. You'd absolutely ruin her carpets. So that flash flood effect, not the rain, but the flash flood, that is the oldest attraction on the studio tour. Studio tour started in '64. That was added in 1968. It was used in productions like Lady Gaga's music video Judas. It was also used in Big Fat Liar with Paul Giamatti, Amanda Bynes, and Frankie Muniz.
You care from the wolf, kid? Yeah, we'll see about that.
So that fella that just got rocked by that water effect, that was not Paul Giamatti, that was his stunt double. A lot of actors in Hollywood, they will have stunt doubles do their dangerous stunts for them when filming. Because if an actor gets hurt filming a stunt, the whole production has to be paused and costs a lot of money. If a stunt double gets hurt filming a stunt, they just replace that stunt double. It's a terrible thing to say. Oh, going back past Jaws Lake, here's a fun fact about Jaws. None of Jaws filmed here on the Universal lot. It filmed on the East Coast of the United States in a place called Martha's Vineyard in the Northeast. Steven Spielberg wanted to be authentic to where the movie filmed or was set, so he filmed where the movie was set in the Northeast. Something I also learned from a documentary that I just watched, Jaws at 50. By the way, watch this documentary if you care about like Steven Spielberg's history, Jaws' history, the history of movie making in general. It's a wonderful documentary about the making of Jaws. So I learned that a lot of the townsfolk that were in Jaws were actually the townsfolk from Martha's Vineyard. They were not actors. They just grabbed a lot of people that lived there and used them as background actors. And even some of the 1- and 2-liners were not actors, but maybe they are now. The area that we're heading into now, this is what we call Colonial Street. It's kind of just like any upper middle class neighborhood in the U.S. Unless, of course, you're a fan of ABC's Desperate Housewives, in which case this is a very special street, Wisteria Lane.
If there is one thing everyone in suburbia can appreciate, it's a good neighbor.
What the heck? Let's move back.
So, Desperate Housewives was a wildly popular show for about 8 seasons, all 8 seasons filmed here on the Universal lot. They filmed their interiors inside of soundstages 16 and 17 that we showed you earlier on in the tour. Then they would come out here to Colonial Street to film their exteriors. It starred Eva Longoria, Terry Hatcher, Marcia Cross, Felicity Huffman, among many other actors. And while they did, monopolize the street for close to 10 years, there were plenty of other productions that filmed out here before the Housewives moved in and after they moved out. Like this backyard area on the right was used for the series finale of Superstore with Ben Feldman and America Ferrera. There's a yellow house right next to the gray house coming up here on the right that was used for Never Have I Ever with Maitreyi Ramakrishnan. There was a movie that came out in the 80s that starred Tom Hanks called The Burbs. It was kind of like a horror, thriller, comedy. Wonderful movie, by the way. They've done a remake of it in a way and turned it into a television show. It now stars Keke Palmer, and they came back to the same set. So they came back out here to Colonial Street to film that just over the summer. And a television show called Ted filmed out here over the summer as well. You guys might remember Ted with Mark Wahlberg and his talking teddy bear. Well, the television show's a prequel set in the 90s, so it's when Mark Wahlberg was a kid in high school, when Seth MacFarlane still stars as Ted, the talking teddy bear. Now, Steven Spielberg has a very long history with Universal. We just experienced Jaws. He's filmed a ton of movies out here. We talked about Jurassic Park earlier. Here's a little bit from him about his history with us.
My entire career began with my relationship with Universal Studios just as a high school kid on a tour bus. Remember, in those days, there weren't trams, there were buses called the Grade Line Tour Bus. And I was so excited and thrilled to be on the lot. This was my first time ever on a movie studio lot. And during a bathroom break, I hid in the bathroom. And when everybody left to get back on the bus, I waited another 15 minutes until I'm sure the bus left. And then I had the entire lot to myself that day. And in those days, movie lots were so crowded because all movies were made on film lots. Today they're made all over the world, on locations, but most of it was focused in those days, in the 60s, on the film lots. So nobody noticed me when I was going around from soundstage to soundstage, and I really felt, in my own young way, I owned the lot and had the most amazing day of my life.
Don't get any ideas. Steven Spielberg got away with it, you won't. So if you're here for Halloween Horror Nights, don't look to your right. I don't want to spoil anything for you. If you're not here for Halloween Horror Nights, look to your right all you want. On your left-hand side, you're going to see some picture cars. We talked about picture cars earlier on in the tour. These are some of the most famous picture cars we've ever used or created here at Universal. Of course, we have some Fast and Furious picture cars there, right? Can't talk about movies and fast cars without at least mentioning the Fast and Furious. Then we have some Transformers picture cars. We got Bumblebee, who's my personal favorite of the Transformers. Sorry, Optimus Prime. And the one next to him is a cop car. He's called Barricade. And I'm going to be honest, I'm glad Barricade is here, you guys, because we're heading into an area where a real psycho lives, and we might need some help from the cops. The sets that you're seeing here are from Psycho, brought to us by Norman Bates. Oh my gosh, my brain. By Alfred Hitchcock, starring Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, Janet Leigh as Marion Crane, and Mother as Mother. We're actually about to drive past Mother's house up here on the hill. If you look in the upper left-hand window of the Psycho house, you might be able to catch a little peek of Mother, but look at your own risk. I'm warning you. She is what nightmares are made of, okay? And once you see her, you cannot unsee her, so. Oh, hey Norman. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk about your mom like that. That was rude. We should get out of here. He's upset. Yeah, Luke, if we could go over like 4 miles an hour right now, that would be very cool. Thank you so much. We've written Mother some strongly worded letters about cleaning up her backyard. She refuses to do it. We've got a bit of a hoarding situation here. Just kidding. This is the crash site set from Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. This is arguably one of the most impressive sets we have here on the Universal backlot. So feel free to take some photos, take some videos. This movie released in 2005. Starred Dakota Fanning, Justin Chatwin, and Tom Cruise. Here's a little bit from Rick Carter. He's the production designer that created this masterpiece.
airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision that Steven had.
When you first began to sit down to talk about the War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep pressing me. Listen now. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now I'm closed.
Mommy.
Robbie, get in. Get in.
Yeah, come on, Robbie. We got a tour to finish. Chop, chop. I don't have all day. So Steven Spielberg, he used a combination of visual and practical effects to create the scene that you just saw up on your screens, to create a lot of his movies actually, dating all the way back to Jurassic Park in the early 90s. The late 80s and early 90s is when we really started kind of introducing computer-generated imagery and green screen technology into the filmmaking process. And nowadays, you'd be hard-pressed to find any movie that doesn't use either practical effects, visual effects, or a combination of both. And Jordan Peele's newest movie, Nope, is no exception to that rule. We're about to drive you through some of the sets from that movie. It's very exciting. I really love these sets. So welcome everybody to Jupiter's Claim.
Movie magic only happens when a team of collaborators, often in the hundreds, work together to take an impossible notion and bring it to life. This is Jupiter's Claim, a nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky Junior Park. Over there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Killshare. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? What? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. It's not looking so live anymore. Anyway, behind this Hollywood fantasy of a gold rush frontier town lies a sinister secret. Smack dab in the center of a UFO hotspot. Welcome to the world of Nope.
Alright, so obviously not much visually happened while we were in there, right? But this is more of an example of sound design. How it's not always the visuals that we're seeing or the dialogue that we're hearing that inform us how to feel and when to feel those things when we're watching television shows and movies and whatnot. But sometimes it can be swells in music, sound effects, things like that, right? It's a whole sensory experience. And if you haven't seen Nope yet, you should watch it. It's a really good one. So if you're looking to your right-hand side here, you're seeing what we call Falls Lake. This whole area here is known as Falls Lake. This is usually used for really big budget productions that want to portray being on a large body of water, say the ocean or a river, you know, something like that. So there's a reservoir that you can see here that we usually fill with water. And then the wall that you see there, that's the world's largest freestanding green screen. Green screen is really just a generic term for any screen you're going to put behind your actors to then superimpose computer-generated imagery in the post-production process. So originally, this area was built in the early 80s for a movie called Jaws the Revenge. Jaws the Revenge, that movie, back then we actually didn't have any computer-generated imagery or green screen technology. So that wall was there. It was originally there when we built this, but it was used more as a backdrop than a green screen. So when I say backdrop, I just mean like basically, so let's say for Jaws the Revenge, they filled that reservoir up with water and then they painted like clouds and like a skyscape basically on that wall to make it look like they were in a massive ocean when really they were just in like a lake here on the Universal backlot, right? A fun little story about that movie. Michael Caine was in that movie, and if you know Michael Caine, you know that he's kind of like Steve Martin. He went gray really early on, and he had to jump into the water for a scene that was filmed out here. And back then, they decided to. Did I disappear again? Can you guys see me? On that screen, can you see me? I'm gone! Well, you're just gonna have to hear my voice, I guess, because we're almost at the end of the tour anyway, but I guess I could reset it. Anyway, there's no visuals that you need to see here anyway. So, Michael Caine had to jump into the water, and back then they decided to dye the water with like blue dye to make it look like it was more like the ocean. And he jumped into the water and came out of the water, and his hair was a little bit tinted blue because it was like white. And then he had to do that take over and over and over again. So by the time they were done filming that day, Michael Caine had blue hair. He had punk rock hair, which I love. Some other things that filmed out there: Hunger Games Catching Fire with Jennifer Lawrence. So the scene where the tributes come up and out of the water, and they're kind of on their little like lily pad, and then they go to start the actual Hunger Games, filmed in Falls Lake. Sully, which was the movie where Tom Hanks played a commercial airline pilot. He had to like do an emergency crash landing in the Hudson River. That filmed out there as well, and we used to have a clip that showed it, but they've gotten rid of it since. So basically they filled the reservoir with water. They superimposed the New York skyline onto the blue screen or the green screen that you saw there. And they put a real airplane out in the middle of the water, and they put a bunch of actors standing on like the wing of the airplane. And hey, I'm back! And they shot that scene out there on Falls Lake. Here I am. This tram is having a bit of a hard day, you guys. It's tired. These trams are from the 80s. They've been around for a while, you guys. So Sully filmed out there. Dunkirk. So Dunkirk was I did not actually watch the movie, but it was a war movie, as far as I know, starring Harry Styles. From One Direction, and I did get to see some of the filming of that. So I didn't see the movie, but I saw some of the filming. It was very cool because what they did was they filled the reservoir with water, as you do, and they put a gimbal, which is basically a mechanical arm, in the middle of the water, and then they attached like half of a giant Navy boat to this gimbal. And the scene that they were filming when we used to drive, basically the way that we drove through the Nope sets just now. We used to drive that way before the Nope sets were there, and we could see whatever was filming in Falls Lake. So we were taking that route, and while they were filming, they were sinking this boat. So the scene was like the boat was like kind of like sinking or tipping, and then it would come back up, and they would reset and film it again. So we got to see over and over again this boat, like half of this massive boat sinking into Falls Lake and then coming back and sinking. It was very, very cool to see. And The Truman Show filmed out there as well. So you might remember The Truman Show with Jim Carrey. At the end-ish of the movie, when he escapes the bubble that he lives in, there's a scene where Jim Carrey opens a door, walks out into basically the rest of the world, and then he goes down some steps. That filmed in Falls Lake as well. So what they did was they added a little wall to that big blue wall. They added a little wall with a door that was there for a long time, but they got rid of it, and those were the steps and they added some steps, and those were the steps that he went down to go out into the world and live his life. So a lot, like I said, a lot of really big budget movies were what filmed out there. Probably not small budget movies that film out there, because even just filling that reservoir with water, I would imagine, costs so much money. So as I mentioned before, we are nearing the end of the studio tour. We will be heading back to unload here in just a couple of minutes. So if you haven't already, you might want to consider downloading the Universal Studios Hollywood app to your smartphone. You'll have all the information you need for your visit here today at your fingertips. You get a digital park map so you know where you're going. You can double check what time we close tonight. You can see what the wait times are for our rides. You can see what the show times are for our live action shows. The only live show we have at the moment is Waterworld, the live SeaWorld Spectacular. It's a wonderful show. If you haven't seen it before, definitely check it out. I would say it's a must-see while you're here. If you have seen it before, definitely go check it out. It's such a good show, and there's no way you can get all of the information in when you see it the first time, because there's so much going on. So definitely check that out. And what was I talking about? Oh, the app. You can always delete the app when you leave, too. That's what I would do, so they can't track you. Looks like we have a little bit of a backup heading back to unload. So let's watch some Universal comedians while we wait.
to answer the phone. I was gone a second. I came back in. He let himself out of the playpen, put on Scarface, and he glued his hands to the rum bottle. Okay?
And did I feel his name? Why? Because. Oh, he's centerfield. Hey, Mark Wahlberg, shut up. Mark Wahlberg? Who else looks like Mark Wahlberg? The girl?
Mark Wahlberg's like 150 pounds. I'm 250 lean. I look like Mark Wahlberg ate Mark Wahlberg.
Can't you get it?
Welcome to Abercrombie & Fitch. Can we take your order? Abercrombie & Fitch.
We're a great team. Thanks.
I don't know why everybody trying to lose weight in the first place. Talking about lose weight, get healthy, get in shape. Everybody looking all anorexic, talking about that's healthy. I know what healthy is.
Because they're opening the ride next year, they have right, because they're opening the ride, the new ride, they've stopped the one on the tour. I don't know why they. I don't know why they stopped it so soon. Like I thought that they would have waited until more close. Do you know what I mean? Like when that was opening, they would have stopped. I'm not sure, but they didn't really tell us why they did that. But that's basically all the information they gave us. They said it was a ride. Yeah, I know it's a bummer because it was a fun one. But I'm hoping they repurpose it to be like something else, like How to Train Your Dragon or something like that. You know? So, yeah, that would be cool, right? I think that because it already kind of feels like you're flying, you know? Yeah.
Que se vengan en cuanto abran, me imagino que van a ser más caros los boletos. Para que pongan su 500, 600.
I get older, they stay the same.
Why didn't you say something before? There's news.
Can't be a garage without training.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta tell you, fellas.
fun to be here.
We are going to be back to unload here in just a minute, you guys. So on behalf of myself, my driver, and everyone here, thank you so much for joining us here today at Universal Studios and on the studio tour. We hope you enjoyed your peek behind the golden curtain of Hollywood. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day here. And as they say in the biz, that's a wrap. Put your 3D glasses in the bins on your left. Make sure they're your 3D glasses, because you'd be surprised how quickly your sunglasses drop right to the bottom of those bins. I'll be to the left-hand side of the tram if you have any questions or comments for me. When they open the doors for you, you guys are going to head to the left, okay? Not to the right, but to the left. See you in the movies, you guys. Bye-bye. Thank you. I guess you can go straight since the tram's gone now. All right, bye.
Alright, everybody, please watch your step and put the glasses